Hello everyone and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. We're holding a Mishnah Berurah Chel Gimel. And Mirz Hashem, today we will be learning Daf Nun Hey Amud Beis. We are continuing to learn Hilchos Shabbos. We pick up today 2 lines off the bottom on Nun Hey Amud Aleph, almost at the end of the line, in the words of the Mechaber, Avol Shamash Kavua. So we are in Siman Ayin Reish Hey, in the midst of Sif Yud Beis, which is the final Sif of Siman Ayin Reish Hey. Our learning should be a schus for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, Hanasunu Batzaro Bashivya, Ha'imdim Bein Bayam Ubein Bayabasha, Hamakayim Yerachem Aleihem V'Yetziam Yitzaro L'Rvacha Me'afelu L'Ora U'Mishibed L'Geula, Hashta Bagolo V'Zman Kariv and Emar Mein. Our learning should be a schus for Fu Shalema, for Tzvi ben Leah Miriam. Our learning should also be a schus for Yisrael ben Rachel, Yonasan ben Michal, and Yoel ben Michal, together with all of our brothers and sisters who find themselves in harm's way. B'chol Makim Shehem. At the outset of the share, I just want to mention quickly, I happen to be recording this share on what is election day here in the United States. And it's a very contentious election. A lot of people opining on what's better for Klal Yisrael, what's worse for Klal Yisrael. Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, who's more pro-Israel, who's not, who's less pro-Israel. Just a couple of comments. First of all, we don't know anything. And when I say we don't know anything, I mean even al pidar hateva, we don't know anything. We only know precisely what the powers that be want us to know. We don't know what the true positions of anybody are. We know, sometimes we don't even know what they said. We only know what has been reported to us that they said. But even what they said doesn't mean anything. It's all smoke and mirrors. We don't really know what they're doing behind the scenes. You have times where people make statements that seem to be very anti-Israel or very anti-Klal Yisrael, but then when you look deeper and you look at the actions that they actually take, they're actually the opposite. We have cases the opposite way also. People say things that sound very pro and very favorable to us. In reality, they're not. So first of all, we don't know anything. Second of all, if somebody will ask me, who do I want to win? You know who I want to win? I want to win whoever the Bari Olam wants to win. That's who I want to win. And the Rebbeinu Shalom has that selected already. Not only that, it matters not who wins. What do I mean it matters not who wins? It's a pasuk, Lev Malachim Visarim Biyad Hashem. The hearts and the minds of kings and princes and ministers are Biyad Hashem. So a person can run for office, he can make all sorts of campaign promises and everything else. The minute that he sits behind the desk in the Oval Office, the minute he becomes the president of the United States, Leiv Malachim V'Sarim B'Yad Hashem, he doesn't even have his own mind anymore. So it's all meaningless. It all doesn't mean anything. There's only one thing that means anything, Rabbi say, and that is that we have to be mispal to the Rebbeinu Shalom, that the Rebbeinu Shalom should take care of Klal Yisrael, the Rebbeinu Shalom should watch over us, the Rebbeinu Shalom should watch over all of Klal Yisrael, the Rebbeinu Shalom should bring the Geula Shlema, so that we don't have to deal with any of this. And I keep on saying, we don't want a partial salvation. We don't want that this tzara should go away. For what? So that this tzara should go away, and Nebach, we should have to deal with another tzara. We want all of the tzaras to go away. Should die. The Rebbeinu Shalom should say enough already. The Rebbeinu Shalom should bring the Ku'ula Shlema, which Mashiach Tzidkenu, and then we don't have to deal with any of this. But all of this other stuff, it's all static. It's all chatter. It's all meaningless, and it distracts people. Al tiftachu b'nedivim b'ven adam she'ein lo yiseshua. Every single one of them is a ben adam. Doesn't matter who it is. Al tiftachu b'nedivim b'ven adam she'ein lo yiseshua. You have to trust in the Rebbeinu Shalom. The only place that we could put our trust is in the Rebbeinu Shalom, and that's where we have to look to. Anu leka ve'einenu leka. And now, nachzer li'inyanenu, let's go back to Hilchos Shabbos. So, here in Siman Ayin Reish Hey, Sif Yud Beis, the Mechaber told us an interesting halacha. We've been busy with the halachas of what kind of tasks are you allowed to do la'or haner on Shabbos, and what kind of tasks are you not allowed to perform la'or haner. A ner is a burning lamp. Back in the day, it was torches, lanterns, lamps that gave them their illumination. Now, the risk of an oil lamp is that an oil lamp has a flame of a certain size. Sometimes you're doing something that requires iyun, It requires a closer look. It requires concentration. You're looking very hard and you're concentrating on something and you realize that you need more light. And you forget that it's Shabbos, so you might be mateh the ner. You might tilt the lamp in order to direct more shemen, more fuel to the wick, have the oil travel up the wick better, resulting in a larger flame to give you more light. Now that would be an issa daraisa of mavir. That's a malacha daraisa. You're making a flame bigger on Shabbos. Therefore, the Chachamim said, we are going to outlaw the performance of certain tasks, la'ar haner. We don't want you to do these kind of tasks, la'ar haner, because of the chashash shemayate. Here in Sif Yud Beis, an example that the Mechaber gave us was, he said, a shamish she'enoi kavua, a stand-in butler, a stand-in waiter, a stand-in maitre d'. He's not allowed to go be baidek, kaisais and ka'arais la'ar haner. He's not allowed to go inspect the cups and the plates and the cutlery la'ar haner to see what's clean or I have to make sure I put on a matched set of kaisais. Are these the right kaisais or not? Are these the right plates or not? A shamish she'enoi kavua, a stand-in, is not allowed to do this la'ar haner. Why? Because he's not familiar with the plates. He's not familiar with the cups. And therefore, it needs iyun rav. Therefore, he's going to have to look closely. He might need more light. He might be mata than air in order to get more light. So, shamish she'enoi kavua is not allowed to do this. And the Mechaber said, it doesn't matter what kind of ner he's using. It doesn't matter if it's powered by regular oil, let's say olive oil, canola oil, I don't know, or if it's fueled by naft. Naft, pitch of some kind, a white pitch. This was something that burnt very bright. So you might think maybe there's no chash shemayate. An urshel naft gives a tremendous amount of light. Tremendous, I don't know. It gives relatively more light. Maybe there's no chash shemayate. The Mechaber said, no, there still is. Even by an urshel naft, you're not allowed, a shamish she'enoi kavua is not allowed to do this. The Ramah said, the yesh matirid b'shel neft. There are those that say that even a shamish she'enoi kavua is allowed to inspect the cups and the plates by an urshel neft. And the Mishnah Berurah said, you know why? Because this dissenting opinion that the Ramah brings down holds that an urshel neft gives so much light, there's no room for a chash shemayate. And that brings us to what we're up to now. 2 lines off the bottom, Nun Hey and Aleph, says the Mechaber weiter. Aval shamish kavua. This whole discussion was about a stand-in shamish. How about the regular shamish, who is very familiar with the plates and the cups? Aval shamish kavua, the regular butler, says the Mechaber, muter loy livdoik la'ar haner kaisais. He is allowed to go ahead and inspect the cups la'ar haner. Why, says the Mechaber? Mibnei she'ein tzarich iyun harbe. Because the regular shamish, it doesn't need iyun harbe. It doesn't need iyun rav, close looking, to discern between the plates. He's very familiar with the plates. He could pick out the proper plates with just a quick glance, and therefore he's not going to need extra light, and we're not worried about a chash shemayate. Says the Mechaber weiter, however, v'em hoya ner shel shemen zayis. How about if the ner that we're talking about is olive oil? Okay. If the ner is olive oil, says the Mechaber, turning to Nun Hey and Beis, ein moirin loy livdoik va'afa pishahu mutter. We don't paskin for him that he's allowed to be baidik. He's allowed to select the kaisais to the or of a shemen zayis torch, lamp, even though really it's mutter. But we don't paskin for him. So if the butler comes and the butler asks a shaila, he says, I'm the shamish kavua. I'm the regular shamish. I need to set the table tonight. I got to pick out the cups and the plates. I have a ner of shemen zayis. Am I allowed to do the selection by the ner of a shemen zayis? Says the Mechaber, technically it's mutter. But we don't paskin for him that he's allowed to do it. What do? I don't know. Whatever. We don't answer. We don't paskin for him that it's mutter. Why, says the Mechaber? Because by a lamp that's fueled by shemen zayis, we have a new concern. What's that concern? Well, all of the olive oil that's in the lamp is muktzah. It's set aside for the use of this ner, so it's muktzah. But olive oil could be used to make a salad dressing. We're afraid if we let the shamish kavua select the cups from a lamp that has olive oil in it, and we paskin for him that he's allowed to do that. So what are we saying? We're telling him that he could use this ar haner, he could use this lamp that's fueled with olive oil, and he could do something that requires close iyun. So that means he's going to bring the plates over to the ner. He's going to get very close to the ner. He's going to bring the plates to the ner to select them. And then he realizes, hey, you know what? That's olive oil in there. I need some olive oil for the salad dressing. He'll take a spoon, dip it in, and he'll take out olive oil. Now that's a problem of kivui. By taking olive oil out of the ner, you're taking away the fuel from the fire. That's kibui. You're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. So because of, even though really it's mutter, really we don't have this gzera of Shemi Yistapik Mimenu. Really it's mutter, but we're uncomfortable with it. And therefore we're not going to paskin for the shamish kavua that he's allowed to select plates by the or of an olive oil lamp. Now, before we go into the Mishnah Berurah, I just want to point out to you something that we need, a diuk, that we need to understand for the Mishnah Berurah. When you go back to the beginning of where we started reading, Aval Shamish Kavua, we see that the Mechaber said like this. He said the Shamish Kavua is allowed to select the cups and the plates, le'or haner. Now, he says that in a general sense, by the or of an ner. What kind of ner? What's it fueled with? He doesn't say. Then he says, if it's fueled with shemen zayis, we don't paskin that it's mutter. If it's fueled with shemen zayis, we have a new concern of shemi yistapik mimenu. Okay, so la'ora ner is mutter, general. Shemen zayis is, we don't paskin that it's mutter. How about canola oil? How about neft? We didn't see any distinction. Says the Mishnah Berurah over here at Ois Katan Chav Gimel, la'or haner, when the Mechaber says that the shamish kavua could select cups or plates la'or haner, says the Mishnah Berurah, that's talking about shal neft. That's talking about specifically a ner of neft that makes a very bright flame. How about other oils? We didn't cover other oils except olive oil. Olive oil, we said we don't paskin that it's mutter. Technically it is, but we don't paskin that it's mutter. Ule'inyan sha'ar shmanim. When it comes to other oils, so not neft the Mechaber says is mutter for a shamish kavua, not shemen zayis, we said we don't paskin that it's mutter. When it comes to other oils, ayin bebir halacha. For that he sends us to the bir halacha, dibra maschela araner. Now, if you look at that bir halacha, which to me, what I'm going to read to you, is 2 lines off the bottom of the bir halacha, the Chavetz Chaim says, "V'la'anias daiti." In my humble opinion, says the Chavetz Chaim, "Bebeis Yosef loy mashbekein, de loy mematinon rak neft mizeh, mishum dehu mos." The Chavetz Chaim says, if you look at the Beis Yosef, it comes out that neft is mutter, and we're willing to paskin that neft is mutter. You know why? Because we have no concern of shemi yistapik mimenu. We have no concern chashash shemeyate, because neft makes a very bright flame. We also have no concern shemi yistapik mimenu, that somebody might take neft out of the lamp and be over on the malach of kibui. You know why? Because neft is repulsive. It's very malodorous. It has a very bad smell, so it's repulsive, and we're not afraid shemi yistapik mimenu. But other oils, canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil, over there, it's like olive oil. We're afraid shemi yistapik mimenu. Over there, we also wouldn't paskin that it's mutter. Aval shar shmanim doimen l'shemen zayis lozeh. So now it comes out, according to the Chavetz Chaim, that what the Mechaber is telling you over here is a shamish kavua could select the plates and the cups by a ner shel neft, because it makes a very bright flame, so there's no chash shemiyate, and it's repulsive, so there's no chash shemiyistapik mimenu. If it's fueled with any other kind of edible oil, shemen zayis, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, anything like that, the halacha would be like shemen zayis. Technically it's mutter, ve'ein moirin kain. But we don't paskin that way because of the fear of chash shemi yistabik bimenu. Ois katan chav daled. So the Mechaber said the reason for this heter by the shamish kavua is because it's a shamish kavua. He doesn't need Ion Rav. Since he doesn't need Ion Rav, he's familiar with the plates and the cups, and an Orshel Neft is very bright, so over there we're not going to have a concern, Chash Shemayata, because he's a Shamish Kavua. Now, says the Mishnah Berurah, so I don't understand. We're going to be matir because he's a Shamish Kavua, and he doesn't need an Ion Rav? Says the Mishnah Berurah, V'afagav da'afilu lahavchin bein begadav lebigdei ishtoi asru. In the beginning of not Yud Beis, in Sif Yud Aleph we said that a man is not allowed to inspect his between his white shirt and his wife's white blouse, la'or haner, because he might come to be matter the ner. Now, the Mishnah Berurah is concerned. I don't understand. That doesn't sound like something that needs Ion Rav. Yes, your white shirt and your wife's white blouse might be similar to each other, but l'chayre doesn't need Ion Rav to decide which one is the woman's beged and which one is the man's beged. And yet, we say it's aser because of a chash shemayate. So too by the shamish kavua picking out the plates. You're right, it doesn't need Ion Rav, but it needs at least as much Ion as discerning between your shirt and your wife's shirt, so l'chayre it should be aser. Says the Mishnah Berurah, there's another heter over here when we're dealing with the shamish kavua with the plates, and that is hacha hitiru mishum nikius. Over here we have another reason why we want to be matir, and that is hygiene. We're concerned. We want to make sure that the shamish sets the table with clean cups and clean plates for health reasons, and therefore that's another impetus why we want to be matir to allow the shamish kavua to select the plates. So it comes out, according to this Mishnah Berurah, why is the Mechaber matir a shamish kavua to select cups and plates by an Orshel Neft? For three reasons. Orshel Neft makes a very bright light that mitigates the concern of chash shemiyata. He's a shamish kavua, so he's familiar with the cups and plates, so he doesn't need so much iyun. So that's another mitigating factor against the concern of chash shemayate, and we're concerned about hygiene. To us, it's a very pressing issue to make sure that the table gets set with clean cups and clean plates. So that's another tzad heter. And also, we don't have a chash of shebi yistapek because we're dealing with an arshal neft, and neft is repulsive. Okay. And he brings this down from the Ran, the Ramban, and the Ritva, turning to Nunhei Amid Beis. Ois Katan Chavhei, the Mechaber said, technically, a lamp fueled with shemen zayis or another edible oil, technically it's mutter for a shamish kavua. But ein moirin kain, but we don't paskin like that. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois Katan Chavhei, return our Leibra, what the Mechaber wants to say is, in bolu fadenu lishoil, if the butler comes to us with this shaila, could I select the cups and the plates by a lamp that's fueled with shemen zayis or another edible oil? Ein moirin loy lechatchila. We don't paskin for him that he could do it lechatchila. But if the butler goes and does it on his own, ein moichin biyadai. We don't protest to a butler who's doing that, because technically it's mutter. But do we give him a psak? Yes, you're allowed to do this lechatchila. No, why not? Because of the chash shemi yistapik bimenu. Okay, now let's close out Siman Aishrei and Ayin Reishei with the final words here of the Ramah, top line on Hamid Beis. Says the Ramah, an interesting halacha, hago. Nagu lechasois haketanim. The minig is to make sure that the little toddlers and babies are dressed in front of the Neros Shel Shabbos. Shelo yiyu arumim bifnei haneros. We should not let even a toddler or a baby be totally unclothed in front of the Neros Shel Shabbos, mishum bizoi mitzvah, because that's considered a bazayin to the mitzvah of Neros Shabbos. The Neros of Shabbos have a certain amount, so to speak, of kedusha to them. They're Neros Shel Mitzvah. So that a child should be standing unclothed in front of Neros Shel Mitzvah is a bazayin, v'chein kasav harekeach, so we find written in the Sefer Harekeach. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Katan Chavav. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a Mishnah Berurah before. The Mishnah Berurah said we don't paskin l'chatchila for a butler that he could select the plates and the cups by a nair that's powered with edible oil, shema yistapik. V'afagav del inyan hadlaka lo yasra b'shum zeh. Wait a second. If there really is a concern of shema yistapik, so why are we matir lighting Neir Shel Shabbos with olive oil? Why aren't we always afraid that if your wife lights the Neir Shel Shabbos with olive oil, now before the Suda she wants to make a salad dressing, maybe she's going to dip in, take out some olive oil, and be over on kibui to make a salad dressing? Says the Mishnah Berurah, no, that's different. Shani Hacha, and I alluded to this earlier. Shani Hacha, by the butler selecting the cups and the plates, it's different. Because now he's going to bring the cups and the plates very close to the nair. So he's going to get very close up and personal to this olive oil. Over there, we are chayshin on tvei. We are more chayshish that he might come to take out some olive oil. He's going to smell the beautiful aroma of that nice extra virgin olive oil. He might scoop some out and take it. We don't want an unclothed child by the Neir Shel Shabbos because of Pizay Mitzvah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, kasha. Really, we could ask a kasha on this halacha. Why do you need to tell me halacha that we can't allow a child to be unclothed in front of the Neir Shel Shabbos because of Pizay Mitzvah? There's another reason. This is also anyway. Mishum sakana. What sakana is there? The asili de nichbe. K'deisa b'psachim kuf yud beis amid beis. The Gemara in Psachim says that it is usher to stand for anybody, to stand completely unclothed in front of a nair. Why? Because if you do so, you could come to epilepsy. That's what nichbe is. Nichbe is seizures and epilepsy. So, for the Mishnah Berurah, I don't need this halacha. Anyway, you can't be unclothed la'ar haner because of the fear of epilepsy. Says the Mishnah Berurah, V'nir l'chalik b'katan l'gadol. He brings down from the Eliyah Rabbah, that Gemara in Psachim is talking about an adult. An adult is not allowed to stand unclothed in front of a nair because to do so brings about the risk of epilepsy. That doesn't apply to a baby or a cotton. For there's a different reason by Neir Shel Shabbos, and that is Bizoy Mitzvah. Okay, now we move along to Siman Reish Ayin Vav, and I have to be maktim to you that the beginning of Siman Reish Ayin Vav, the Mechaber, the Ramah, and the Mishnah Berurah, deceptively complex. And you're gonna have to work with me here. You're gonna have to follow the paper trail very, very carefully to fully understand the Mechaber, the Ramah, and the Mishnah Berurah. Sounds like a very simple halacha here, but there's hidden complexities here. Says the Mechaber, Siman Reish Ayin Vav, Dinei Ner Shehidlik Eini Yehudi B'Shabbos, the halachas that pertain to a ner, a lamp, a fire, a candle, that was lit by an Eina Yehudi on Shabbos. So you have an Eina Yehudi, a non-Jew, lit a ner on Shabbos. What are the halachas now that pertain to that ner? Ubay hey seifim, and here we have 5 seifim. Says the Mechaber Sif Aleph. Eina Yehudi shehidlik es haner b'shvil Yisrael. If an Eina Yehudi lit a ner on behalf of a Yid, so a Yid went, let's say, and told an Eina Yehudi, do me a favor, light that candle for me, light that lamp for me, and the Eina Yehudi did so. Now that's the Yisr of Amir al-Akum. Amir al-Akum, the first complicated sugi that we dealt with here in Chelik Gimel, you're not allowed to ask an Eina Yehudi to do malacha for you on Shabbos. Why not? We learn it out from a pasuk. The pasuk says, Kol malacha lo yeyasa behem. No malacha should be done. Doesn't say do not do malacha. It says no malacha should be done on Shabbos and Yom Tov. We learn out from there, not only are you not allowed to do malacha, you're not allowed to have an Eina Yehudi do malacha for you. So says the Mechaber, if an Eina Yehudi lit a ner on behalf of a Yisrael on Shabbos, Asr Lakoil. That ner is now Asr to all Yidden. No Yid is allowed to derive benefit from that ner. So you asked an Eina Yehudi to light a lamp, to light a candle. He went ahead, he lit the candle. You're not allowed to be nene from that lamp now on Shabbos. It was Meleches Isser, an Isser Daraisa. Lighting a ner is an Isser Daraisa. So an Eina Yehudi performed an Isser Daraisa of Shabbos on your behalf on Shabbos. That ner is usher to you, but not only is it usher to you, it's usher to all other Yidden That ner is now usher. It's usher even for people that it was not lit for. Let's turn to the Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah is cutting off. First thing that Mishnah Berurah points out is realize the Mechaber gave us one example. The Mechaber spoke specifically about an Eini Yehudi that lights a ner. So that's one of the Lamites Malachas, Mavir, making a fire, lighting a candle. Says the Mishnah Berurah, this is true of any malacha daraisa. Any iser daraisa that an Eini Yehudi does on behalf of a Yid on Shabbos, the asal hakol lehanis mizeh. No Yid is allowed to have enough from that malacha. Now, first of all, how long does that iser remain in play? Let's say an Eini Yehudi lights the candle, and it's a 6-day candle. So he lights it on Shabbos on behalf of Yisrael, and it's burning Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Is it also for Yidden to have hana from it? No, it's not. It's also on Shabbos, and it's also Motzei Shabbos B'chtei Sheyaseh. What's the share of B'chtei Sheyaseh? The amount of time after Shabbos is over that it would have taken an Eini Yehudi to perform that malacha after Shabbos. How long does it take an Eini Yehudi to light an air? After Shabbos, half a second. So a minute after Shabbos is over, that ner is already mutter. It's just usher on Shabbos, and Motzei Shabbos b'chtei sheyaseh. So points out the Mishnah Berurah, this is not only true about hadlakas haner, it's true of any iser daraisa, any malacha daraisa that an Eini Yehudi does on behalf of a Yid on Shabbos. It's going to be usher to all Yidden on Shabbos, and it's going to continue to be usher on Motzei Shabbos b'chtei sheyaseh. Okay, now the Mishnah Berurah throws in a line over here. And he says, Va'ayin le'el b'simin reish nun beis sif beis. Take a look earlier at what we learned in simin reish nun beis sif beis, le'inyan kablanus. When it comes to the topic of kablanus. Okay, what's the Mishnah Berurah doing here? Why is the Chavetz Chaim sending me to reish nun beis to a discussion about kablanus? The answer is that the Chavetz Chaim is coming with this line to qualify the general rule that he just gave. In other words, the Mechaber said, if an Eini Yehudi lights a ner for a Yid on Shabbos, that ner is usher for all Yidden. No one Yid is allowed to have hana from that ner on Shabbos, or after Shabbos b'chtei sheyaseh. Came along the Mishnah Berurah expanded on what the Mechaber said. And he said, this is not only dealing with hadlakas haner, it's dealing with any malacha daraisa. What does that mean? A Yid is not allowed to ask an Eini Yehudi to do any malacha daraisa for him on Shabbos. You're not allowed to ask him to do a malacha darabanan either. But you're certainly not allowed to ask him to do a malacha daraisa. If you do, and the Eini Yehudi does a malacha daraisa, it's also on Shabbos, and it's also on Motzei Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, but let's remember, there is a way that an Eini Yehudi is allowed to do malacha for you on Shabbos. It's not a flat rule that you're never allowed to have an Eini Yehudi do malacha for you on Shabbos. It's not a flat rule. There's an out. What's the out? Kablanus. Let's remind you what kablanus is. Kablanus is when you outsource malacha to an Eini Yehudi. When you hire an Eini Yehudi as a kablan is a worker that's getting paid to deliver a job, to deliver a completed job. He's not being paid by the hour. He's not a hired salaried worker. He's a kablan. He's an independent contractor. You give your car to the mechanic to replace your alternator, and you make up a price for the job. He's going to charge you $400. He gave you an estimate. He's going to charge you $400 to go ahead and replace the alternator, and you're going to pick up the car from him with a repaired alternator. He's getting paid by the job. When he's in his shop and he's replacing your alternator, is he doing your work? Is he working for you? If his friend would come to him in the shop and say, hey, Joe, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working for Rabbi Weiss. No, it's his shop. He's doing his work in his shop. And he's getting paid to deliver the completed job. That's a kablan. Now, we learned earlier, a kablan is allowed to do work for you on Shabbos. You can't instruct him to do the work on Shabbos. You can't require him to do the work on Shabbos. But if you give the mechanic your car on Friday and you tell him, listen, let me know when the job is done, and he could do it on his own time. He could do it Friday. He could do it Sunday. He could do it Monday. If he decides to do it on Shabbos, you don't have to tell him, don't work for me on Shabbos. You're not allowed to do work. No, he could do the work on Shabbos. Why? Because he's a kablan, and he's not working for you. Nachri adaita denafshei ka'avid. I'm taking you back to the sugya of Amir La'akum. Nachri adaita denafshei ka'avid. He's doing his own work on Shabbos. He's not doing my work on Shabbos. So here we have a case, the Mishnah Berurah is reminding me, it's not always usher to have an Ani Yehudi to work for you on Shabbos. There's an out, a kablan. A kablan is allowed to do work for you on Shabbos. Now, having said that, what happens if a kablan does work for you on Shabbos and he delivers the completed job for you on Shabbos, and now you want to reap the benefit on Shabbos of the malacha that he did on Shabbos? Are you allowed to do that? Now, we just said a halacha that's very similar to that, right? We just said if an Ani Yehudi lights a candle for you on Shabbos, you're not allowed to use that candle on Shabbos. How about a kablan? If a kablan does work for you on Shabbos, and he delivers the job to you on Shabbos, are you allowed to go reap the benefit of the malacha that he did on Shabbos on Shabbos? Now, the answer to that question is, it depends on the exact case, and it's also the subject of a machlokes to Mechaber and the Ramah. Now, we're about to see that, but keep that in mind for a moment. So again, let's follow the paper trail. The first thing we need to know is the Mechaber gave us a halacha. If an Ani Yehudi lights a ner on behalf of a Yid on Shabbos, that ner is aser b'hana on Shabbos. Nobody is allowed to use that ner on Shabbos. Not the Yid that he did it for, not any other Yid. You're not allowed to use it. That's the halacha that the Mechaber gave me. Okay, now let's take a look at Mishnah Berurah Ice Cotton Bays. Aser. This ner is aser. Says the Mishnah Berurah, understand it's an iser midrabanan. This is an iser midrabanan. The Chachamim said, if you had an Ani Yehudi light a ner for you on Shabbos, no one's allowed to get hana from that ner on Shabbos. Iser d'Rabbanan. Why? Why they make this iser midrabanan? Says the Mishnah Berurah, why? Because if the fact would be that post facto, once the Ani Yehudi lit the ner, if the halacha would be now you're allowed to use it, then people are going to ask Ani Yehudim to light ners for them. Right? If the halacha is, you're not allowed to ask an Ani Yehudi to light a ner. What if you did and he lit the ner? Yeah, you're allowed to use it. Well, then people are going to do it. So the Chachamim made Xera. They said you're not allowed to do it. And if you ask him to do it and he lights the ner is also midrabanan. You're not allowed to use it. Okay. Ice Cotton Gimel. The Mechaber said the ner is aser not only for the person that the Ani Yehudi lit it for, it's also to anybody. Says the Mishnah Berurah Cotton Gimel afilu v'loy dami lemi shehuva b'shviloi michutz l'tchum b'Shabbos. This is different than another case that we learn about in Siman Shin Chaf Hey. In Siman Shin Chaf Hey, when we're talking about tchum, the issue of tchumin on Shabbos, we're going to learn that if an Ani Yehudi brings you a delivery from outside the tchum on Shabbos, from outside his tchum, the Ani Yehudi brings something from outside the tchum, and he brings it to you on Shabbos. You are not allowed to use the package. And we'll talk about Amazon packages and everything else when we get there. But you are not allowed to use the package if it was brought from outside of the tchum on Shabbos. Again, this is very general now. We'll do a deep dive into that halacha later. This is not the place. But in a general sense, if an Ani Yehudi brings you a package from outside of the tchum on Shabbos, you're not allowed to use the package. But somebody else is allowed to use the package. It's mutar la'acher. Now that's not what we're saying here. Here we're saying if an Ani Yehudi lights a ner for you on Shabbos, you're not allowed to use the ner. No one else is allowed to use the ner either. What's the difference? He explains to Mishnah Berurah the tchum and the rabbanon. According to almost everybody, the iser of tchum is an iser d'Rabbanan. V'chein kol iser d'Rabbanan she'asa Ani Yehudi b'shvil Yisrael. When an Ani Yehudi does an iser d'Rabbanan on behalf of a yid, mutar la'acher sheloi nasa b'shviloi. Somebody else, other than the one that the malacha was performed for, is allowed to reap the benefits of that malacha. So, what have we learned here so far? If an Ani Yehudi performs a malacha on behalf of a yid, on Shabbos, and that malacha is a malaches iser daraisa, then it remains aser b'hana, sai for the person it was done for, sai for anybody else. If an Ein Yehudi performs an iser derabanan on behalf of a Yisrael on Shabbos, it's aser for the one that engaged him to do it, but it's mutter for other people. Okay, now we're going to go to a Ramah. And the Ramah is going to directly address the question that I brought up, which is, what happens if an Ein Yehudi does malacha for a Yid on Shabbos, malacha daraisa, but he does it as a kablan? Now, kablanus is mutter. So if an Ein Yehudi does work on Shabbos for a Yid as a kablan, that's mutter. But is the Yid or anybody else allowed to reap the benefit of that malacha on Shabbos? So let's see what the Ramah says. Says the Ramah, Haggah, ve'ein chilik bazeh. When it comes to this halacha of an Ein Yehudi that lit a ner, an Ein Yehudi that lit a fire on Shabbos, ve'ein chilik bazeh bein kotzav lo ischar, whether on Erev Shabbos you set a price for the job, or loy kotzav, or you didn't set a price for the job and you were paying him for his time. Oy sha'asoy bekablonos oy beschirus. Meaning, there's no difference over here whether the Ein Yehudi lit the ner as a sochir, he lit it as a salaried worker, or he lit it bekablonos. Even if he lights it bekablonos, which is mutter, you're still not allowed to use that ner on Shabbos. Why, says the Ramah? Because since the Yid is getting direct hana from the exact malacha that the Ein Yehudi did, the Ein Yehudi lit a ner and the Yisrael is enjoying the light or the warmth, aser b'chol inyan, brings down from the Gas Ashri, that is completely aser. Now here we have to do a little bit of a deep dive. Okay. Let's go back to the question. A Yisrael engaged an Ein Yehudi kablan to do malacha for him on Shabbos. Now, the completed job was performed on Shabbos, and it was delivered to the Yisrael on Shabbos. So now, I'm getting the job that was done by the kablan on Shabbos, and I'm ready to get the hana of what the kablan did on Shabbos. Am I allowed to, or am I not? So the Ramah seemingly answered the question. The Ramah said, if an Ein Yehudi kablan lights a ner for you on Shabbos, how do you have an Ein Yehudi kablan light a ner? Very simple. You hire an Ein Yehudi, I'm giving you a job. You know what the job is? Whenever I need a ner lit. Now let's remember, back in the day, they had neris all over the house. That was their primary source of light, was neris. And guess what? There was a job. There was somebody called a lamplighter. So you hired an Ein Yehudi lamplighter. How are you paying him? Is he a salaried worker? Is he a sachir? That would mean that you're paying him by the hour. That's a sachir. Or is he a kablan? A kablan gets paid by the job. How do you pay a lamplighter by the job? Very simple. You tell the lamplighter, keep a cheshbon. How many neris did you light for me? I pay you 10 cents a lamp. Every lamp that you light for me, you get 10 cents. So now he's a kablan. He's getting paid for the job. He's a kablan. Am I allowed to hire an Ein Yehudi kablan? Yes, I am. But now, an Ein Yehudi kablan, who's getting paid 10 cents per lamp, came into my house on Shabbos, and he lit a lamp. Am I allowed to get hana from that lamp? Says the Ramah, no. You cannot. You can't do that. Now, why not? I don't understand. He's a kablan. Why not? Not only that, we'll make the kasha bigger. There's a Gemara in Shabbos on Daf Kuf Yotes, and we learned about this Gemara in Siman Reish Mem Zayin. In Siman Reish Mem Zayin, we learned a halacha. Sheleach Adam Igeres Biyad Ein Yehudi. You are allowed to hire somebody to deliver a letter for you, and you could hire him a minute before Shkia. Va'afilu be'erev Shabbos im chashecha. You could hire him a minute before Shkia, so you know he's going to deliver the letter on Shabbos. V'hu shekotatz loy domim. But you have to hire him as a kablan. You have to tell him, I'm paying you for the job. I'm paying you $15 to go deliver the letter. So you're hiring a kablan to go do malacha for you on Shabbos. He's going to carry the letter, Dalet Amos in Rishus Harabim. He's doing malacha deraisa on your behalf on Shabbos, but he's a kablan. Now, you can't be kavei malachtai on Shabbos. You can't instruct him, I want you to do the malacha on Shabbos. That you can't do. You can't be kavei malachtai on Shabbos. But you could hire him, and he could go deliver the letter on Shabbos. And guess what? When the recipient gets the letter, he's allowed to read it. Ooh, wait a second. I don't understand. Isn't that a stira to the halacha the Ramah just told me? Let's compare the two cases. You're hiring a letter handler. You're hiring a letter delivery person, right? He's going to take the letter. He's going to perform malacha daraisa. He's going to carry the letter Dalet Amos in Rishus Harabim on Shabbos. He's going to deliver it to a yid, and the yid is allowed to go reap the benefit of that malacha. He's allowed to take the letter and he's allowed to read it. Yet over here in Siman Reishai in Vav, if the kablan comes and lights a ner, you're not allowed to use the ner. Why not? The answer is, if you take a look at this Ramah, our Ramah here in Reishai in Vav, the Ramah brings down this halacha from the Agas Hashri. Now, the Ramah gave the explanation. The Ramah says, "The Hayol v'Hayisrael nena mimalacha atzma b'Shabbos." When an Eini Yehudi kablan lights a ner for you on Shabbos, you're getting the direct benefit of the meleches iser that the Eini Yehudi did. What does that mean? Well, let's take a step back. Remember, why are you allowed to hire a kablan to do malacha for you on Shabbos? Because we say nachri adaita denafshei ka'avad. Because we say that the mechanic in his shop, when he works on Shabbos, he's not working for you. He's doing his own work. Somebody asks him, what do you do for a living? I fix cars. He's doing his work. He's not doing your work. And why is he doing it on Shabbos? Not because you need him to do it on Shabbos, or you want him to do it on Shabbos. He's doing it on Shabbos because he has a schedule. He wants to finish the job and he wants to get paid. Maybe he wants to get paid on Sunday. He doesn't want to wait till Monday. So he's doing his work. He's doing it on Shabbos from his own volition. So Nachri adaita denafshei ka'avad. Those words mean the Nachri is doing it for himself. He's not doing it for you. That's the heter of kablonos. Says the Ramah, when a non-Jewish lamplighter lights a lamp for you on Shabbos, even if he's a kablan, it's very hard to say Nachri adaita denafshei ka'avad. You know why? Because what's the malacha that he's doing? The malacha that he's doing is the malacha of lighting a fire. And the benefit that you're reaping on Shabbos is you're reaping a direct benefit from the fire that the Eini Yehudi kablan created. Very hard to remove yourself from that malacha and say Nachri adaita denafshei ka'avad. What, he didn't light it for you? You're standing there getting the hana on Shabbos of the lamp that he just lit and created on Shabbos. You're going to tell me Nachri adaita denafshei ka'avad? Says the Gas Hashri, you can't say that. If an Eini Yehudi kablan lights a fire for you on Shabbos, you can't use that fire on Shabbos. It's too intimate of a connection. It's too close of a connection between you and the malacha that the guy did. The letter carrier, says Dagas Ashri, is not that way. By a letter carrier, what's the malacha that the letter carrier did? The letter carrier carried a letter and transported a letter, Dalet Amos in Rishus Harabim. When the recipient of the letter reads the letter, somebody will come over to him and ask him, what are you doing? Oh, mamish, I'm enjoying this letter so much. Really? What are you enjoying? An Eini Yehudi carried this letter for me 4 Amos in Rishus Harabim. I'm enjoying it so much. What are you, crazy? That's not what he's enjoying. What's he enjoying? He's enjoying reading the letter. He's enjoying the contents of the letter. Did the Ein Yehudi write the letter? No. The Yid who sent the letter wrote the letter. So the primary hana that the recipient of the letter is getting is not the malacha that the Ein Yehudi did. Yes, it's true. He wouldn't be holding the letter in his hand if not that he's reaping the benefit of the malacha that was done. But that's not the primary hana that the recipient of the letter has. The primary hana that the recipient of the letter has is the geschmack of reading the letter. Somebody will ask him, why do you have a smile on your face? You should see what my friend Ruvain wrote over here. It's mamish geschmack. Such a beautiful vart that he sent to me on this week's parsha. It's not, mamish, an Ein Yehudi carried this letter for me. It's so geschmack. That's secondary. So the Agos Ashri says there's a big chilik between Reish Mem Zayin and Reish Ayin Vav. In Reish Mem Zayin, you could reap the benefit of the malacha done by the kablan, that he delivered the letter. Because over there, it's secondary. But in Reish Ayin Vav, like the Ramah says here, Hayil v'hayisrael nena mi malacha atzma b'Shabbos. You're getting direct hana from the actual malacha that the Ein Yehudi kablan did. Therefore, in this case, it's aser. Now, here's the problem. That's the Ramah. But now, let me give you another case. What would the halacha be? You have laundry that you need done, and you employ an Ein Yehudi laundress, who's a kablan. She gets paid by the pound. She gets paid for delivering a pound of freshly washed and freshly folded laundry. So she's a kablan. Are you allowed to give the laundress laundry on Thursday and allow her to wash it on Shabbos? Yes, you are, because she's a kablan. You can't instruct her to wash it on Shabbos. But could you give it to her on Thursday? And could you take delivery of it on Sunday, knowing full well that she washed it on Shabbos? Yes, you are. Why? Because she's a kablan. And since she's a kablan, nachri adaita d'rav sheikavad. But now let's ask the following question. What if you give the laundry to the Ein Yehudi laundress on Thursday, and she delivers it on Shabbos? And she washed it on Shabbos. So she knocks on your door, 11 o'clock in the morning, Shabbos morning. She gives you the laundry, and she says, see how warm it is? It just came out of the dryer. So now you have an Ein Yehudi kablan, did malacha for you, beheter, on Shabbos. Could you go put the shirt on? Could you get the hana of the shirt? Well, what do we compare this to? Is this compared to the ner, or is this compared to the letter carrier? Well, guess what? The Ramah, bringing down the same Agos Ashri, the Ramah in Reish Nun Beis says you're not allowed to wear that clothing. Why not? Because the Agos Ashri reasons that that's the same as the case as the ner. By the ner, again, you're intimately connected to the malacha that the Ein Yehudi did. You're reaping the direct benefit of the maleches iser that the Ein Yehudi did. The Ein Yehudi created a fire. You're getting the light and the warmth of that fire that he created on Shabbos. You can't do that, even though he's a kablan. You can't get the benefit of that malacha. The laundry, again, you're getting the direct benefit of the malacha that the Ein Yehudi laundress just did. You're putting on fresh clothing that she just washed on Shabbos. Says the Ramah, that's aser. You're not allowed to do that. But you know what the Mechaber says? The Mechaber in Reish Nun Beis says it's mutter. Now here we have an interesting thing. Our Mechaber over here in Sif Aleph, the Ramah is not being chaylik on the Mechaber. The Ramah says that if an Ein Yehudi kablan lights a ner for you on Shabbos, you're not allowed to use that ner on Shabbos. How about the Mechaber? Does the Mechaber agree? It seems so. It doesn't seem from here in Sif Aleph that the Ramah is coming to be chaylik on the Mechaber. The Mechaber says, if an Ein Yehudi, he says it in very general terms, if an Ein Yehudi lights a ner for a yid on Shabbos, no one's allowed to be nena from it. He doesn't say unless it was done by a kablan. And when the Ramah comes, the Ramah says, Ein chilik bazeh. He's not coming to be chaylik on the Mechaber. He's being mefarish the Mechaber. No, so the Mechaber is not chaylik on this. And the truth is, we could see in the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah where is it? I think it's in Reish Nun Beis. I wrote it in my notes. Yeah, in Reish Nun Beis, Mishnah Berurah Ois Katan Chav Zayin, the Mishnah Berurah says that the Mechaber is not, the Ramah is not being chaylik on the Mechaber here. The Mechaber agrees that if an Eini Yehudi Kablan lights a ner for a yid on Shabbos, no one's allowed to be nana from that ner. But by the laundry, the Mechaber holds you are allowed to. Now, clearly, the Mechaber doesn't hold like the Hagas Hashri. The Hagas Hashri and the Ramah aser the laundry the same way they aser the ner. But the Mechaber is mater the laundry, and he asers the ner. So clearly, the Mechaber is making a different chilik between the halacha of the ner and the halacha of the letter carrier and the halacha of the laundry than the Ramah and the Hagas Hashri. What's the chilik according to the Mechaber? So the Mechaber told us that in Reish Nun Beis. In Reish Nun Beis, the Mechaber says, you know why the Mechaber asers the ner, but he's mater the laundry? For a different reason. The reason why the Mechaber holds the ner is aser, even if the ner was lit by an Eidi Yehudi Kablan, is because the Mechaber holds that when an Eidi Yehudi Kablan lamplighter comes into your house to light a ner, he's doing it specifically so that you should be nene from it on Shabbos. The Eini Yehudi laundress did not do your laundry specifically so that you should be nene from it on Shabbos. Indeed, that would be aser. What do I mean? If you told the Eini Yehudi Kablan laundress, I need you to deliver the laundry to me by 11 o'clock Shabbos morning, it would be aser. Because now you're being kaveya malachtai on Shabbos. So that you can't do. You could give it to the laundress on Thursday and say, bring it to me when it's ready. But in that case, the laundress did the laundry so that you should have clean laundry whenever you need it. Now, you might need it on Shabbos, but you might not need it until Monday. As far as she knows, maybe you have another 20 shirts hanging in the closet. So she didn't do it so that you should be nene from it on Shabbos. That's the chilik that the Mechaber makes. The Mechaber says, laundry, that's okay. Because the Eini Yehudi didn't do it specifically so that you should be nene from the malacha on Shabbos. But the ner was done specifically so that you should be nene from it on Shabbos, and that's aser. Now, we went overtime here because this was very complex and we didn't finish the page, but the truth is the rest of the page is really, really relatively very simple, so I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to cut off over here, and we'll have to make up for some lost time in the next year or two. Thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. The schus of limud HaTorah should be making against Klal Yisrael. The Rebbeinu Shalom should send Yeshua's for us, Parnaset Shidduchim to all those in need. We should be zeichet to see the Bias Gal Tzedek, B'mher of Yameinu, Amen. Be well.